It's time to get out of Cleveland now.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Locked On A's. This is the podcast where we talk about the Oakland A's as long as they stay there for the rest of the season. If the A's play in Oakland, I guess I'm Sacramento because I am your interim host. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Normally, I'm the host of the Locked On MLB podcast, and guess what? I'm still recording shows there all week long, so I'm here pinch hitting at the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been here for this is my third week, I think, and I'm having a lot of fun. Believe it or not, I'm having a ton of fun following the A's every single day and trying to give you quality podcasts and a place to discuss what's happening here. Follow us at Locked On A's. Sorry, old habits die hard. Locked On A's on Twitter, or whatever the hell it's called now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Today's episode is brought to you in part by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Wouldn't it be nice if eBay Motors donated $1 for every part they have available to the A's payroll? Because they have 122 million parts, and I'm thinking maybe the A's should, partner with eBay Motors and say every time you sell one of those 122 million parts, you throw $1 our way, and next thing you know, maybe the A's could have a mediocre payroll. Well, when the A's won the game, the getaway game before the weekend, I said, well, we're going to see what happens in Cleveland. We're going to see if that win to salvage the final game against the St. Louis Cardinals was a harbinger of good things to come. And I could say with complete confidence, the answer to that is no. N-O. The weekend started as well as you could have asked for, and I covered that in the previous episode, with the Abraham Toro leadoff home run on Friday night's game. I thought, oh, this could be delicious. And then the rest of it was a horror show. And I thought, well, maybe you lose game one. I said, hey, they didn't have to dip into their bullpen. And, they got some innings. Okay. Let's see what we got. And what we got was exactly piddly-poo. And the A's lost on Saturday. And then they just lost about maybe 40 minutes ago, and they got swept right out of Cleveland. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the game on Saturday before we dissect and do an autopsy on today's game. The Guardians got off to a fast start on Saturday. Ramirez hit the double. Laureano, old friend Laureano, isn't it great when an ex-A helps beat the A's? Well, he doubled home Ramirez. And Alex Wood got off to a rough start, but Alex Wood kind of settled down after that. He's gave him a couple of innings, allowed the A's to chip away, and Noda homered, and Schumann homered, and everyone had a little lump in their throat and tear when Schumann rounds the bases. Isn't that glorious? And Alex Wood is settling down, and oh my God, he let up a home run to Josh Naylor. When did Josh Naylor become Frank Thomas? When did Josh Taylor become Mike Trout? When the heck did that happen? Josh Naylor plays the A's. All of a sudden, they're getting ready to make his Hall of Fame plaque. Shea Langoliers. Toro. By the way, once again, Toro is the man. He triples. He scores. But then the A's, they get a runner in scoring position in the seventh. And then, the Naylor gets another base hit. And all of a sudden, a 4-3 game becomes 6-3, and they, Noda did his best. Noda homered and doubled. Can't ask for more than Noda. And then Ruiz gets on base twice. Look at that. You have your leadoff hitter who has an OPS of 1.326, who has a slugging percentage in the nines. He gets on base twice. So what do? You pinch hit for him. I don't understand. You have guys on the team. Now, granted, they pinch hit for Schumann after he hits a home run with Brown. Okay, fine. They pinch hit for Allen. Fine. Noted had a good game. Fine. But like, they're players who are playing worse than Ruiz. Why are you pinch hitting for him? I don't understand. Did he key somebody's car? It can't all be based on those wristbands that he wore. He's the guy who's playing the best on the team. And he's either on the bench or getting pinch hit for. In a game already, he got on base twice. And that was just Saturday. And I almost recorded a podcast, but I said, you know what, Sully? Go to bed. Go to bed. You're about to punch someone in the face. You are about to punch someone in the face. Okay, fine. So what happens next? Okay, now we go to today's game. Was today's game any better? Not really. Cleveland gets out early, gets that early lead. The A's come back. They make it a one-run game. And then, of course, they get the 3-run, the bases clearing double by, guess who? Naylor. But do you know what? That wasn't the problem with the game. That wasn't even my problem with that inning. Do you know what my problem with that inning was? You had 2 hit by pitches. 2 batters got hit by a pitch. That's something you can control. Do the A's have the most talented team in baseball? Of course they don't. Are the A's going to be a superstar-filled team? Of course they're not. Are the A's probably going to have a winning season? No, I may go to FanDuel and bet no there. But if the A's are playing a team and it's a tight game, it's a 1-run game in the bottom of the 7th, you have a chance to win that game. And what you can't do is you can't let the other team beat you with stupid stuff like hit batsmen and things like that. You got a team that has the A's number. You know, the A's right now are 8-8 against the rest of the league, and they are 1-6 against Cleveland. You know, the A's are not playing that badly against teams that don't play in Cleveland. But you have to not hand them games. Make them get a double off you. Make them get a triple off you. Don't hit batters to get Naylor to come up with a bases loaded. What did you think he was going to do? So Cleveland has Oakland's number. We all know that. And it's tomorrow morning, West Coast time. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be in my classroom. I teach during the day, and I'm going to be, catching the game. A's, Yankees. Yankees are a weird team. They have a phenomenal record, and it's difficult to tell why, because Judge has not exactly been hitting the cover off the ball. They don't have Garrett Cole. They're playing a morning game after a day game. Could you sneak a win in? Maybe you can. They're not Cleveland. You're not going to see, I don't think you see Cleveland the rest of the year. Thank goodness. But what you hope is that this is not the beginning of a long losing streak. And rather, it's just basically, hey, we didn't play well against a team that so far is playing very, very well. So let's just, take this sweep with a grain of salt. Thank goodness for the bases loaded walk habit a couple weeks ago. This wasn't a good showing. You can't give them games. You can't drop fly balls to left field. You can't hit batters to set up their hottest hitters. You have to do the things you have control over. And maybe, just maybe, A's fans, you can say the moral victory of this year could be don't finish in last place. Now, right now, the Astros are in dead last place. Do you think for a second that's where they're going to stay? No, it's not where they're going to stay. They're too talented for that. So let's see where we are with the Yankees when they come up next. And we're going to start a new segment, by the way, on the show in the final. But the next segment, I'm going to hear what you all have to say, because I'm getting comments in the comments section, and we've gotten messages on our YouTube page. So let me tell you something. Passion, drive, and excellence, that's the formula for winning champions. And it also is what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performances. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only and exclusions apply. eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit is available only to U.S. customers. Sorry, Canada. I got to tell you something right here and right now. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime, and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure if your team could pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, you lift up your head, and you say to yourself, time to get back in the game. Pull off some bank heists and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's a Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. You got to pay out and play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, live reads. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent on your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends, heaven forbid, to crack open community chests and in terms hit extra rewards and climb up the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, read these live, and download Monopoly Go, now free in the App Store or on Google Play. Hey, do you find yourself following Fox Sports and ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or on the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Let's go take a look at some of the things that people have written on YouTube. By the way, Rapal Bum Depot, I don't know what that means. 7648 says the Philadelphia Athletics of Sacramento would be a cool name. Can't disagree there. And TV Baldwin says, thanks for the interaction in the live show. I'm a 64-year-old dude from Vermont and has been an A's fan since 1969. Who says this is regional? I saw Daryl LaMonica on a commercial on NBC in 1967. My dad told me he played for the Oakland Raiders. I decided that would be the football team I root for. So naturally I became an A's fan as well. Became a Warriors fan in 72. Well, that's great, TV Baldwin, and keep on rooting for the A's. I hope wherever you are. We've got a bunch of comments on the live thing here. Let's see what we got. Okay, Z Corp Alpha says, yes to the homeless A's. Want my honest opinion? Way economy going, I'm scared 2027 A's will possibly be disbanded. I 100% disagree with you. 100% disagree with you. First of all, the economy is not tanking right now. It's actually better than it was a few years ago. But if teams didn't fold during the Great Depression and teams didn't fold during the economic collapse of 2008, teams are not going to fold now. All right? A solution will come about. Everyone calm down. Oh, by the way, single greatest comment I got. I love it when people write really, really important things. When I was doing my thing about the question marks in Vegas, I got Rikia Talab says, since I became so rich in cryptocurrency, I realized that crypto is the future because I invested $15K and $70K as weekly profit. I appreciate the help of your channel. Wow. I love it when they're not spam. Isn't that fun? Well, who knows? Maybe the A's will invest in cryptocurrency. Could you imagine? Z Zorb Golf says, could you imagine if, let's say, Vegas doesn't work out? I imagine it every day. I think it's more likely that they stay in Sacramento. I think there's enough things going wrong with Vegas. I don't understand baseball's infatuation with Vegas. Obviously, I think they're gone from Oakland. As much as I'd like them to stay in Oakland, I acknowledge that that's going to happen. I think that if they were going to move, they should have moved to either Nashville or Portland, which would have been fan bases with deep roots that you don't have in Las Vegas. You don't have the big suburbs around it. You have a lot of transplanted people there, and you have a lot of tourists there. I think a lot of nights that stadium's going to stay empty, and I think that, quite frankly, Vegas could make a lot more money with other entertainment qualities. Do you know what the attendance has been in Cleveland for the A's games? Well, I can tell you the other day that the Cleveland's attendance was just under 20,000. And I can tell you for today's game, hold on, let me check it out. Let me go to, 19,000 and 16,000. They don't draw particularly well in Cleveland. I mean, it's not the A's, but they don't have huge crowds in Cleveland. And remember, Cleveland came this close in the 70s to becoming the New Orleans, I guess they would have been Indians. The New Orleans Indians, that would sound strange. But by the way, did you know, I mean, I'm not going to go into the controversy of the name, but do you know that they were called the Napoleons beforehand, after Napoleon Lajoie? And when he was traded away, they basically asked the sportscasters or the sports writers to come up with a new name for them. And the Indians won out, but the two other names that were bandied about were the Broncos and the Raiders. And when you consider that the Broncos and the Raiders tormented the Cleveland Browns in the 1980s, that's kind of funny. But it would have been the Cleveland Broncos or the Cleveland Raiders, and there would not have been any name controversy. Maybe they just couldn't. Who knows? Maybe they should have changed them to the Guardians back then. When team go to Sacramento, they can be great. I don't know. Maybe not. Here's the real question. Ken Brown says, are the A's staying in Sacramento for the next 50 years? Well, you know, when the A's moved from Kansas City to Oakland, there were a lot of people thinking that was going to be just a quick pit stop. And Finley almost immediately was looking at other cities. New Orleans came up, of course. And I mentioned this before, they came this close to leaving Oakland and becoming the Denver A's after the 1979 season. Just 5 years after they went on the great run of winning all those World Series titles. But now the A's have been in Oakland longer than they were in Philadelphia. So who knows? Maybe they'll be the Sacramento A's, for a long time. Z Corp Alpha, I love you. You've written an ebook. I need the cliff notes to get through everything you've read here. But I do want to bring this up. Sacramento only holds 12,000 seats. That's very profitable. Have you been to A's games? Have you seen what they're drawing in Oakland? And again, I am not dogpiling on A's fans, because I've said before, I love going to A's games. If there's only 1,100 people there, there's only 9,000 people there. There are 9,000 rabid fans, and it's a carnival, and it's one of the most fun times you can ever have at a baseball park. But let's face it, if the Oakland Coliseum only held 12,000 people, then they would look like they were packed most of the day. And also, let's be real about one other thing here. The main source of income is no longer the turnstiles. The whole idea of that's their main way of getting revenue. It's from other media. It's from other media sources. It's from TV contracts. It's from streaming contracts. That's where the main part of the revenue is. Now, it's a nice product when you see a packed house, and I'm sure they love getting the luxury boxes filled and having a packed stadium and selling We're Number One foam fingers and filling up the parking lots and selling those little nacho bowls out of the helmet. But this isn't like back when Connie Mack was counting the number of tickets that were torn. So if they had a 14,000 seat stadium that was packed every night and really cool with good facilities and had a good TV contract, well, then that's one of the reasons why I think Sacramento will work, because they could still potentially tap into the Northern California TV markets. That's one of the reasons why I don't think the Tampa Bay Rays are ever going to leave Tampa Bay. Do you know why? They put the stadium in the wrong place. They should put it in downtown Tampa. I can't believe they're thinking about keeping it in St. Petersburg. But they actually have a decent audience of people who watch it. The Rays have a big fan base. They just don't show up to the game. They watch the games. And so looking at the profitability based solely upon the the attendance, I think it's disingenuous. Oh, by the way, let's hear it for Greg Dayton for putting on my favorite comment I've seen today. Kotze should be fired. This team is dead. Greg, buddy, is this team the 1989 A's? Is this team the Bash Brothers A's? Is this team the Charlie Finley A's? This is a team whose payroll is only slightly larger than the Locked On Podcast Network at this point. This is a team that if they don't lose 100 games, you may give him the Manager of the Year award. And Greg, not sure if you noticed this, there's some off-the-field issues that may be getting in the way of signing superstars right now. But I don't think Mark Kotze being fired right now is going to suddenly make this team a lot better. Hell, currently, they're better than the Houston Astros. A's have that going for them. Hey, let's talk a little bit about our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and it's playoff time. It's the best time to be a sports fan right now. You got the NBA playoffs, you got the Stanley Cup playoffs. Sadly, no Warriors and sadly, no Sharks. But hey, baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to put a bet on any game. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on anything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks to sacrifice bunts. All on an app that's safe and secure and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, this is just a quick reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Easy for you to say. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channel app. Hey, I'm going to start a new segment here on Locked On A's. I figured I can't just talk about a loss for 30 straight minutes. And this is a year where, as sad as this year may be, we should also use a year to celebrate and tell our favorite memories of A's baseball and everything. And I'm going to be doing a segment. I'm going to see if I can create some graphic package or something like that. But I just came up with it today, and we're going to go for it. It was called I Forgot They Played in Oakland. That's right. The A's have been here since 1968. And along the way, the A's have had superstars and great Hall of Fame players and MVPs make weird cameos with the team. The kind that make you go, wait, what? They're on this team? They wore the green and gold of Oakland? Yeah. Hall of Famers came through here and made quick cameos. Ones I bet you forgot. Now, there have been times where a big, huge superstar makes an appearance in Oakland, and chances are, if you're a fan, you remember, like, for example, Frank Thomas, arguably the greatest Chicago White Sox of all time, came to the Oakland Coliseum in 2006 and slugged them into the ALCS. Their only trip to the ALCS since 1992 was on the huge shoulders of Frank Thomas, who slugged home runs against Minnesota and got them into the ALCS against Detroit. That was his cameo. That was a little more memorable than some of the other ones. Dave Parker, who's on my wall back there, was most famous for being a superstar MVP and batting champion with the Pittsburgh Pirates in the We Are Family Champions of 1979. And he played 2 seasons in Oakland. In both years, they went to the World Series. And in both years, he got huge hits, including home runs in the 1989 sweep of San Francisco. So those are Oakland A's cameos that chances are you remember. But over the next bunch of days, I'm going to be remembering some people who looked odd and out of place and whose cameos in Oakland were pretty fast. Now, I'm going to bring up some people who will be on the coaching staffs as well in some later episodes. Do you ever see Joe DiMaggio wearing the green and gold? Or Harmon Killebrew? That was a little strange. But today is the first one, and it's going to be someone who is a legend in San Francisco. One of the great San Francisco Giants of all time. His number is retired. His has a statue out there near McCovey Cove. You see he has his own, basically his own concession stand out there in that area where they have all the food stands out there in left center field at Oracle Park or whatever the hell it's called now. That's right, Orlando Cha-Cha Cepeda. You could get a Cha-Cha Bowl there, which is pretty dang good. Orlando Cepeda was a tremendous player for the San Francisco Giants. He came over there when the Giants moved from New York. He won the Rookie of the Year and became one of the premier right-handed sluggers in the National League. And you imagine he was in a lineup with Willie Mays and Willie McCovey all in their prime? The fact that he was primarily a first baseman and McCovey was playing in the outfield eventually led to a trade to the St. Louis Cardinals. And Cepeda was dealt there, and he had some of his best years with the Cardinals, winning the National League MVP in 1967 and a World Series title against the Boston Red Sox. He played in back-to-back World Series with St. Louis. And then, to his amazement, was traded to the Atlanta Braves for Joe Torre. And he didn't want to go to Atlanta. In fact, a lot of players didn't want to go to Atlanta, including Henry Aaron, when the team moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta because of Jim Crow laws. And, well, it was Atlanta in the mid-'60s, which wasn't exactly the nicest place to play if you were not a white guy. It's not a political statement. That's just a fact. Eventually, Atlanta made sure the Braves knew that they were open to any and all players. But Orlando Cepeda was at first considering retirement. But he went to Atlanta, had a couple of fine years there. Then in 1972, Charlie Finley, when he ran the A's, loved to mix and match and make a whole bunch of trades. He would always have a core of players that he loved, and the players around them would be basically like an asteroid field of people coming in and out and in and out. And the A's were doing an experiment that they basically were carrying like 4 or 5 different second basemen and not letting any of them hit. Every time their time came to bat, they would have a pinch hitter come up. Now, Charlie Finley was experimenting with Denny McLain, former Cy Young Award winner, to be a new ace on their team along with Vida Blue and Catfish Hunter. It didn't work out. It was a disaster. So he traded Denny McLain to Atlanta and brought in Orlando Cepeda for 2 reasons. He wanted to have his potent bat to come off the bench to hit for one of his second basemen, and also he wanted to steal some of the thunder from the Giants. Earlier that year, the Giants traded away Willie Mays. Now, the A's had one of the Giants' big stars, and he wanted to see if any of the fans would want to go see him. Well, make sure you didn't blink, Giant fans, because Orlando Cepeda played a grand total of 3 games for the 1972 A's, and they were all pinch-hitting appearances. And do you know what? He went 0 for 3. Now, he wound up having to go get surgery because he was having he had a knee injury that put him on the disabled list. And he went back to Puerto Rico to rehab instead of staying with the team that would go on to win the World Series. While rehabbing, he got a telegram from Charlie Finley, who always had good bedside manner, and said, if you don't respond in 3 days, you'd be released from your contract. Cepeda said, okay. He didn't respond. He was released from his contract. And while in Puerto Rico, he said, well, I guess that's it. I've been a MVP. I've been a World Series champion. I've been an all-star. I kind of guess that's it. And then a wonderful thing happened for Orlando Cepeda for 1973. Do you know what it was? The DH rule was adopted. And suddenly, a slugger with a bad knee had a job. The Red Sox signed him and said, guess what? You don't even bring a glove. You are a designated hitter. And his first hit with the Red Sox was a walk-off home run to beat the Yankees. Later, he wound up he finished his career in Kansas City as a designated hitter for the Kansas City Royals. So the majority of his career was with the Giants. Obviously, his greatest glory came with the Cardinals. He showed he still had it in Atlanta, and he wrapped it up with the Red Sox in Kansas City. But blink and you missed it. Hall of Famer Orlando Cepeda, when they list all the teams on his plaque, one of those teams is Oakland AL, a baseball legend who I bet you forgot played for the A's. We're going to be remembering a bunch of legends who made cameos with the A's over the next bunch of weeks. And if you have any memories of players that you love to watch, got an autograph for, or whatever, let me know. We'll talk it on here. Follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter, or whatever the hell it's called now, or on Instagram. I am your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, saying, thank God we're getting out of Cleveland. This has been Locked On A's for the 21st day of April 2024. I'm yours, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.